I'm going to go over assignment 3, drawing shapes. Okay, it's important to learn how to draw two-dimensional shapes and three-dimensional shapes. If you know how to draw these type of shapes, you can arrange the placement of these and begin to draw anything. Okay, so the first part of this assignment is to draw two-dimensional and three-dimensional shapes carefully and precisely as possible, and the second part is to draw some basic shapes in a still life. Okay, so here we go, and there's a video that goes through things. So watch the project, review the project sheet, watch the video, these drawings should fill one page of your newsprint sheet. So begin drawing two-dimensional shapes, a square, rectangle, triangle, and a circle. And then draw three-dimensional shapes which have depth, right? So a cube, a rectangular prism, a cone, a cylinder, and a sphere. And then for the second part of the assignment is to download the reference photo and draw the reference photo applying what you've learned about 3D shapes. Draw 3 of these, filling half a newsprint drawing of each. Photograph your 4 drawings. And then you submit an image of your 3D shapes and then 3 images of the reference image. Okay, so just to be clear, let's see. Yeah, so this is the assignment for drawing shapes. And then this is the reference image here. Okay, this is what you'll be drawing. If hopefully you've done that, but we'll see. Okay, so let's get started. So I'm going to start on page 1 for this. So here's a square, comes to a cube. A rectangle goes to a rectangular prism. A cylinder, almost. Right now it's like a cylinder, and then this is sheared off so it's at an angle. And then a cone, this is, you know, almost, it should come to a point because it's a triangle. That's cone-ish, right? And then a sphere. So going in the right direction here. But for a cylinder, this circle should equal that circle. Now we're not drawing these in perspective or at eye levels. This is more exact, a little more like drafting-ish type thing. This looks really good. So this is the drawing that we just talked about here. Okay, I'm actually going to copy that image. I'll open it in Photoshop. And then let me just get this arranged correctly. Okay, and then maybe I can talk about it and give some some tips and things like that. Actually, a little longer, it's easier to click. Okay, so a couple of concerns on this first drawing is maybe the shape here, it's not bad. This one looks like it's flattened on this side. See how it's flat and then flat here? So this looks like a sphere with or a cylinder with a flattened side. And this thing is so critical, this thing at the top. Now it feels like instead of not a sphere, a cylinder. Instead of a cylinder, it's kind of pointy at one end, so it feels like it, anyway, it feels like it points out. And let's look at, let's make a new layer here. And I'm not expecting you to do anything in Photoshop here. I'm just kind of looking. I'm going to draw in red so we can see it. Okay, so this angle here, we're just going to move it down and just like compare it. Notice it's not the same angle as the bottom. Notice this is a little bit steeper. Do you see that? They're not the same angle. Snap so it's less jerky. Okay, so you see what's going on there, right? It's because of this whole principle of this surface right here is closer to your eye level, and eye level I think is going to be really close to this. And as this surface approaches it, the smaller, narrower and narrower this angle gets, until if you were to see this cube, if it were more of a rectangular prism and the surface was right at eye level, we would draw it like this. It would be flat, right? And let's just say that the bottom extended further beyond, if it went further down, in other words, if the thing were closer to us in the picture plane, it might look more like, maybe more like this. It would have to be a stronger angle. See how this distance is greater than this distance? So trying to show that, where this is less of an angle, more and even more because it's closer. Okay, but all in all, I think this person did a very good job on their drawings. Let's look at the third one. Oh, even better. Okay, although I think this ought to have more of an angle, not less of an angle. This one has less right now. Okay, so nice work. Good start is my main thing. All right, just want to compare. Let me make a new layer. So this and this make this is an angle. See how this is higher than this spot? If we were to make like a horizontal line right here, this spot here is higher than that spot, and so that's what my problem is here. This is on the same level. This is a little bit higher. A little bit higher, but probably not enough. And I would be careful. I would just try to make these edges as straight as possible. I mean, if we were to look at this, all of these, well, let's just do it. So that's, oops, pretty straight. Straight. Pretty straight. I mean, this goes after the idea of it receding. It's in perspective away from us, so that's interesting too. Let's go to the next one. Okay, and here are the shapes: square to cube, rectangular prism, cone, cylinder, and sphere. Great. Okay. All right. So I just think that these may need to be looked at again. Now, here's one more thing to point out, and I'm not narrowing or being. This is the first time we've seen this in this critique. So there's a lot of other drawings this could apply to, but so we did discuss. Oops. We did discuss negative drawing, right? Drawing the negative shapes. So, and this is a good point. Let's just look at the negative shapes here. Look what's going on. If we were to draw, now I'm doing it with a mouse, so I'm not doing it very accurate at all. But just to show you what this bottom shape looks like. And then we can do the same thing with the top shape. And if it's helpful to kind of look at the negative shapes, I think it's helpful for any artist to like take a look at your positive and negative shapes, right? So so what kind of, let me try to connect these, and maybe I can fill this in. Okay. Just looking at the negative shape is important because it helps you understand what you still, what you're missing, right? Okay, let's go to this next one. Good. Remember, these lines are parallel. They should be straight up and down best you can. I think it's a good job. This angle gets steeper right here. I just feel like this one, so no shading, remember, no shading on this. And we have to be just really pretty careful about these straight lines. But I mean, this is good. I see a lot of understanding happening here, but I would work on the straightness of the lines and the accuracy. Okay, here's our 2D and our 3D. Okay, all right. Okay, this one feels a little messed up right now. Maybe I can bring this over here. Let's see. Not sure if I can. Copy. New. Paste. Oh, okay. So what this one, if this is your angle here, it feels like that's where you started. And if that's your next one, then this, we should keep the same angle as this, this, and this. Okay. And then these should be straight down. And then these should be parallel as well. Okay. Something like that. And we could go and erase this one. Something like that. And we can imagine underneath it you know, yeah, so hopefully that helps a bit. Okay, so let's move on to, here's a square, triangle, rectangle, circle. I see a cone and then there's a cylinder in there. Rectangular prism, okay. Okay, again, just be careful with your lines. This one looks really flat and it should be rounded, right? Yeah, it should be rounded. Okay, let's see how we do on the next one. Okay, it's kind of getting away from you a little bit there because it looks like the cylinder is in front of this cube, right? If things are, let me just, if things are more forward here, so let's say you have your so if something's in front, it's going to be basically overlapping. Excuse me. And if it's behind, it needs to show up in a different different space or behind it, if that makes sense. Like this is in front of or closer to you or closer to the bottom of the page. Even this edge, this the way you drew it, sorry about that. Oh, I drew right over your image. Let me just back up. This looks like it's in front of this because it's overlapping that corner, and the bottom is closer to us. Okay, so that's the concern there. Same thing. If this is behind it, and it's behind up here, but when it comes down here, it needs to stay behind it, or right now it's kind of in front of it down here. So it's kind of an optical illusion happening. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. No shading. Remember, no shading here. So this one's a little odd. If we look back at this image, excuse me. Yeah. So this has an angle to it, right? There's a distance between here and here. And I'm not really seeing that here. This looks like a square flat in front of you. Okay. So we'll just thumb through these. Yeah, now we see the square, but it's in front of the cylinder. And so yeah, that needs to change. You have to really pay attention to the different angles that are happening as well. Like, see this cone? It kind of looks like it's floating compared to laying on the ground. So yeah, I mean, it does feel like it's kind of floating. This has some, it's like cubism is what cubism, I mean, what it's feeling like. Okay, my only concern here is let me just kind of, oh, I see. Yeah, good. Okay, that's what I needed. Yeah, this should have the same distance like this. I mean, this is just too long. It's not. What we want to do is have a circle at the bottom of this, and this is not, that's not showing it with me. Okay. And this, when we're drawing a sphere, I'm sorry, when we're drawing a cylinder, it should basically match, and I just kind of twist it a little bit. And be careful. I mean, try to draw it as nicely as you can, getting that circle, and I'm not going to do it with the mouse. Okay, thank you, good. Yeah, so the problems with this one are that this angle is right, but this angle also needs to go back in the same direction. So does this. And then these need to be parallel. And I'm not able to construct it with a mouse. What a pain. Anyway, this line needs to be the same angle as this line. Okay, and then these should be the same, not only length, but angle. And you can see how far away this one is and how narrow close this one is. Here you got it. You have that angle down. That's good. Now it's just getting getting other things right. Triangle, circle. Okay, good. And then this cylinder should also have at least the same roundness to it. It looked a little flat when I was looking at it before, but this is not as bad as I thought. Okay. All right. As mentioned, we need to have those angles in here, not just a square front on it. This looks much better. That was an improvement. Yeah. So I think it's good to note where exactly. So this looks like it's right in the center. I mean, if we were to draw lines between here and here, and then here and where those two lines meet back there, that's where the cube sits on, like the exact middle of that. So then finding where that middle is and then making that sphere rest on it is important. Okay, these are looking better and better. This needs to have a little bit more of an angle on it, and the sphere needs to rest more in the middle, but these were improvements, so nice job on that. Okay, good. Good, yep. 2D to 3D. No shading on these. I don't think we said there, in fact, I'm sure we said no. Outline and ridges only. Okay, so yeah, no shading. And I do think we're seeing too much of this surface. If we're looking at this, see how narrow it is? See how narrow that surface is? And then because this one's higher up, it's even narrower. Okay, but yeah, too much of that surface. Okay, this is looking better and better, even with the shading, but yeah, again, too much of that surface here, but better and better. Good. Like the improvements. Okay, good start. Good. Okay. I appreciate the erasing and trying to get that figured out. That's shows that you're trying. I think that's great. Yeah, this sets behind this decently now. Okay. All right. So just a few things on this one. I feel like this is more of a cube, so the height, depth, and width is the same distance. Where this one doesn't feel like a cube necessarily. It feels like this side is longer than this side, and then this height. The other thing I wanted to point out is just the negative shape on this. This feels like a little bit more of a shorter cylinder than this one, and there's a few reasons for that. One, it's just physically taller, and this one's a bit narrower, where this one is quite wide and shorter. Wrong assignment submitted. And yeah, so make sure you get the right one submitted. No, this will have to be a 0 until I see the next assignment. Not totally sure. This is the only image uploaded, just to let you know. And then the assignment sheet did say to draw the following 2-dimensional shapes, 3-dimensional shapes. Complete 1 sheet of 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional shapes listed. Complete 3 half sheets of contour drawings of assignment 3 photo. So I understand if you can't find the photo, this is it though. So again, everyone who misunderstood, you're completely welcome to revise. I kind of see a lot of the shapes in here. So maybe I could just kind of critique this a little bit. I'm imagining this would have another angle, another curve coming around. And then this also should have a curve, okay? It's interesting, so our eye level is right about here because we're seeing underneath this and we're seeing on the top of this surface. So there's our eye level, but yeah, we do need to make that ridge continue, and the flat edge of this should continue down, making it round. Okay. Okay, good. The cone, this looks like a block of cheese type thing. So the cone, just get rid of this, and it should just be almost like a triangle with a rounded bottom, but in the end, it's a circle underneath. And a sphere wouldn't have this. It would just be just a circle. You could put the dotted lines in it to indicate what's going on inside it. Okay, all right. I'm assuming this double edge is because you're adjusting. It's not another, I think you're adjusting this, right? To try to get the right shape on it. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Yeah, no, okay, so now I see it happening twice. So again, a sphere, I think we've seen other, I don't know, let's try to find a sphere. Okay, this could be a circle. It could be a sphere if you didn't use these dotted lines inside. That's a circle and a sphere. Cylinder, cone, and that's what we're looking for here. So not a cone yet, not a sphere. So again, this is kind of a block of cheese because it's a triangle with depth, and this is a circle with depth. But that's not what the image shows. The image shows a sphere and a cone. Okay. All right. So, yeah, no shading, but I understand why you did it, just so we can understand that these are in 3-dimension. Okay. All right. I'd prefer if you were able to rotate them, you guys, just generally. Okay, so next time just make sure everyone follows the assignment so there's no shading. I think this one actually looks pretty good. I would work on, spend a little more time on the circle, even if you have to, draw one on a piece of paper and then copy it or something. Yeah, that looks good. 2-dimensional, 3-dimensional shapes, great. Okay, all right. Yeah, all right. Notice how far this comes out, and then as we look at this, it doesn't come out as far as that corner. It's behind it. So just to pass that on, let's look at drawing 2. Okay, it's coming behind it. This is all coming together nicely. Okay, okay, yeah, those are good ones. I think those are good ones. There's 2 and 3D. Nice. All right. So no shading. All right, we're not looking for shading right now. I think it's generally looking good. As I bounce back and forth, the angles on this cube are quite off, really. Notice how we have the edge closest to us, and then these go back in the distance a bit. This one goes back much steeper angle than this one, where the other ones are a little more equal. Want to point out that this is slightly angled right here. It's not, here's straight. Okay, and you can see the angle on that, where this is quite straight. Okay. And I don't think we need to have the lines so thick. Okay, well, you saw some, so this looks a lot better, this angle here, and I think you're trying to work that out. So this is good that you're kind of rounding that, but this is a lot better corner than this one is, because it does come to a, this looks like the whole thing is rounded, and that's not the case. Yeah, so the edge of this comes down to about this point, and then it so that slowly rounds off. And this just is too steep of an angle, so it feels like a different shape a little bit. Okay, or 2D and 3D. Oh, and that's all that I'm seeing, so make sure you can get those other ones loaded in there. Yeah, this one, it's going to have to be a lower grade until those get loaded. Okay, good. 2D and 3D. Okay, decent drawing, decent drawing. Yeah, no need to put shading in right now. Okay, good. Good. So this surface is kind of a concern, and so is this surface. So this one should be a lot narrower. Oops, that was a terrible job. Okay, something like this. And it might even be less. Let's look. Yeah, it's probably a little less than when I drew it. Oh, there we go. Yeah, and it's not very good either, but oops. Okay, let's try that again. Boy, a mouse versus a pen is not very fun. Hopefully you get the idea. Something like this. Now this one is going to be a big change. So if we look at this, this is not exactly in the middle, but it's close to the middle of that ball, which yours is there as well. And then this goes back at a slight angle, and this goes back at a less slight angle. And yeah, it does go out a little bit from there and out a little bit from there. And then this angle is repeated up here, but just not as, but just a little flatter, right? Boy, this just looks skitwampus. Okay. So we're going to see a little more of the surface than this one. So that's why I'm kind of thinking somewhere in here. And then that oval, which is going to touch down right in the middle, probably come up to here. And I think, yeah, we can just make some marks that will, and again, mouse. So terrible, really terrible. But yeah, what we're trying for is to get that centered on that cube. Okay, so just a few changes from where we're at to kind of get to this point. All right, good. Let's try one more. Yeah, same kind of issues, is that this surface looks really not terribly accurate. Remember what I said at the very beginning, and I'm just encouraging everyone to watch all of the critiques because there's a lot that was said that I'm not going to repeat. Yeah, but these all should be on the same page. Yeah, but yes, but we need to see the rest of the drawings of you know, of this right here. We need to see that. Okay, so that's not an incomplete, basically. Okay. Yeah, so this is a good practice, and here's what this person's doing is they're drawing. Let me just see. Okay, Paula. So what Paula's doing is drawing through the shapes, and that's kind of the term they use, drawing through it. And so she's drawing the shapes, and if you draw much lighter, then you can go in and erase things. So, and the practice here is that you can, oops, I probably ought to make a new layer here so I'm not drawn, but yeah, the idea is that you can better, oops, you kind of better understand how things are sitting, and then how they are. You can, I mean, you don't have to do parts of shapes. You can do entire shapes, and then you can come in and erase the parts that are, and if you draw light enough, then you have something to, then you're able to erase it. So this is what Paula's doing. She's drawing through, and it's a great practice, and I'd suggest that. Be careful, like there's some issues. Now notice I see where she's outlining this. See how she's doing that? Which means she's looking at the negative shape. So I think that's another really smart move. Because that negative shape is, this is very similar to what's going on here. So Paula, I have to say I think your drawing needs a little bit of work, but I think your practices are going very, very well. So you're really understanding that, and you're on the path to drawing this right. These are good practices. Yes, this should go up a little higher. This should be more of an angle, and this should be set it drop down so it's more central on this cube. But this is a nice way to do it. Nice job. Maybe this is I didn't see the reference image. Okay, 3D. Don't know. Okay, so please read over the project sheet. I think it's pretty clear in there. I have enough people, and ask me if there's any questions. Okay, if you're like, I don't get this, then you know it's okay to ask. This looks pretty darn good. Yeah, so my suggestion is just make sure your lines are straight. Take some time. Take some time. Notice how big this is versus how big it should be. Narrow. Notice where this corner is. It should be almost like in the middle of this as we look back. And then, and drawing is just like comparing with your reference or comparing what's in front of you. So notice where this line is. It's not lined up with this, but it's not too far away. How far away is it? Well, is it from here to here, away from, if we extend this up, is this distance the same as this distance? It's closer, right? So maybe that's, you know, you go and you pull some measuring pieces out where you're like, wow, like this little area right here is about the same as that right there, and is about the same as that right there, and close to this, although this one's a touch longer, but you're kind of, anyway, it's important to get that figured out and working those measurements. Okay, jumped into shading too quickly, but the drawing is not bad. The drawing's not bad. Okay, good. Yeah. So please just follow instructions pretty carefully. All in all, I think you guys tried your best, and I'm satisfied with that. I'm very happy with that, in fact. You'll probably want, some of you will probably want to redo this. This isn't a terribly long assignment, but just, I mean, we're just drawing the contour of it. So take a look at some of the angles going on and how big the shapes are and where they're placed. That's all very important when you're looking at and drawing a reference image. Okay, thanks guys.